Hey, this is James Murphy, and you're listening to Industry Talk with Gospel Artist Entertainment.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Aldren McCullar here with Gospel Artist Entertainment. We are back with season 2 of Industry Talk, and I'm so happy you are able to join us on today. Listen, y'all, I've taken a long break. I had to get some things together and, revamp some things. And so God has really been blessing us with Gospel Artist Entertainment. And I want you to be able to stay connected with us. And so that way you will be able to know about our ministry and what we're doing in the kingdom. But besides that, y'all, I'm about to get into industry talk. We about to get into a discussion. And I have a very, very, very special guest today. I'm so excited. This is my brother, y'all. His ministry is amazing. You definitely want to stay connected with him. He has sung all across the world, traveled with so many different people. And so I want y'all to listen to him, and he's going to give y'all a little insight on everything that's going on or whatnot in the industry, and as well as today's current events. So my brother is Mr. James Murphy. Say what's up to the people, James.
What's up, everybody?
Man, it's so good to have you to join with me on today with Gospel Artist Entertainment Industry Talk, and I'm so happy you can be able to talk with us on today, man.
I'm so excited to be here talking with you, letting people know, what's going on. But first, I just got to say thanks for all that you do for artists like myself. As far as promoting us, pushing us, you really, really encourage us. You have no idea how much it means to us.
Oh, man, that's what I believe in doing, man. I try to appreciate each and every person who appreciate our ministry and support. I think that's what is lacking nowadays is, the full support, not only with just in the gospel community, but just, in general with, society. A lot of people don't want to support nowadays. And so I try to make a difference. So I appreciate your ministry, man.
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Now, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions as far as like today's current events. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about your music. I know you sing background for so many people. We sing you on Joyful Noise. And you're just an awesome, awesome, awesome artist. So tell us a little bit about your music.
Okay, well, I started singing background when I was 17 years old, and the list just kind of like grew from there. I went on to start traveling and touring with Jeff Majors, who some may know and others may not. He's a classical trained gospel harpist. His career kind of skyrocketed after his appearance on Oprah, and I did 3 tours with him. They were sponsored through Radio 1. It was a good time. I got to meet so many people. That's actually how I met James Fortune.
Wow.
I started singing with James Fortune on the road with so many dates back with Fire. What's up, Fire? All my Fire family. And that kind of opened up a lot of doors for me. I'm very thankful to James Fortune because, being on that platform, I was able to be seen by so many gospel artists, gospel industry execs who opened the doors for not only gospel, but also R&B artists that I was able to travel and tour with. So it was a good long run, and then finally about 5 years ago, God laid it on my heart to do a project of my own. I had been, in the background for so long, and it was actually on the One Love Gospel Cruise. And I was talking with a good friend and mentor, Donnie McCurkin, and he was telling me, I've been doing the background thing for so long. When am I going to actually take the forefront? And so I prayed about it, and I believe that was God imparting through him. And I went ahead and joined forces with Kevin Pridgeon out of Baltimore, who is the owner, creator, director, founder, producer of EMG Records, where I released my first project in August of 2014, So Crazy No Boundaries, which kind of, leads up to where I am today.
Wow, that's awesome. Man, it seems like you done did a lot, and I know you have. That's an amazing accomplishment. How do you enjoy singing background? Do you have your ups and downs? Do you have your moments where you don't feel like singing background, or do you always enjoy it? How is your experience with that?
I always enjoy singing background. I guess that's where I started. Like even when I was a little kid, I remember putting on like Michael Jackson records and then taking the broom and getting in the back and like singing the doo-wops in the background. Like I just always was fascinated with the background. So I never really got tired of it. It definitely has its ups and downs because you're on the road a lot, you're traveling a lot, and that really takes a wear and tear on the body. A lot of people see, what we post on social media and they're like, I want that life. But just be careful and make sure it's really what you want. Like you have to be really prayed up. You have to have a strong foundation, a spiritual walk. You have to be grounded because, you're tempted on every end. From being stuck in airports to being cursed out in hotels to just traveling all over. It takes a wear and tear on the body. You really have to have a mentality for it. So I've never really gotten tired of singing background. I actually prefer singing background more than I do lead. And I think that's just a comfortability thing for me because that's where I started. But over the years, I've definitely grown to becoming the artist that I am today.
Wow, that's awesome. And you may not know this, but I used to sing, actually I still do. I sing a little background myself, so maybe you can give me some lessons one day.
People ask me all the time, like Facebook, Twitter, they're like, do you have advice? And I thought about doing workshops, but there's so many people that you could actually hook up with. There's Hooks and Bridges out of Atlanta, Bridges and Hooks out of Atlanta, I'm sorry. There is Singers Room. There's so many like entities that you would be surprised that they're out there, and it's actually networks of people that actually do this for a living.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome, man. And I know there are inspiring background singers out there who, would love to, be able to be successful in singing background. And so this is some great information, man. Now, have you ever encountered different personalities throughout your career of singing background? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, from a singing background, you kind of like there to support the artist. So you kind of don't, it's not your place to really say much. So you don't really encounter that much. People have spirits, so you're going to always encounter that. As long as there's people on this earth, you're going to encounter whether it's positive or negative. But for the most part, in my journey, it's been pretty positive. There's been people that kind of jump out there and say like real off stuff on social media, but I just block them and keep it moving.
Hey, sometimes you got to do that. You got to just block. I want to get into a little discussion about today's current events. Now we've all been knowing about police brutality and different killings and everything, and even with our new president, or not. But I do want to ask you, as far as the police brutalities, what do you feel about that? How do you feel that the police should handle these people, not only just our race, but, all other races? How do you feel about that? What is your outlook on that?
At first, when things started happening in the different African American communities throughout the United States, I was a little set back because I was kind of reserved. I didn't really say much about it because at the time it was like maybe one or two incidents that had happened about 5 or 6 years ago. But now that it's become kind of like the common thing, my voice and mindset on it has definitely changed. It's definitely a problem in today's society. It's something that needs to be addressed. I've never really been the one to protest, but I'm not against it, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
I definitely think we have to let our voices be heard, but I'm never the one that's going to get out there and protest if I'm not going to vote.
Right.
So I think a lot of times I see on social media and they're like, let's get out there and march for such and such and march for this, but it's the same people that were saying they weren't voting because they didn't like either candidate. And it's not about the candidate; it's about the party and the decisions that are going to come from the candidate and the party. So it was a lot deeper, and my mindset has changed over the years before it. But definitely, the whole Black Lives Matters movement is near and dear to me. I've sang at several rallies in Washington, D.C. that were linked with Black Lives Matter over the last couple of years. And it's something I hold true and dear to my heart. I'm actually thinking about doing a benefit concert around the Black Lives Matters themes early next year or maybe late, like towards Christmas, Thanksgiving. Still kind of thinking about it, but it's something that, we kind of don't need to overlook. We don't need to let people sweep it under the rug because it is a major issue. When cops are killing young African American males, young males in general.
Right.
You should not have a fear. Nowadays, when you're pulled over, I'm scared. And that shouldn't be.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like that in order for us to be able to fully make a change, we have to learn how to actually come together, show some kind of action, and be able to work as a unit. We can't, fight amongst one another and we still have an alt against somebody that did something to us, 20, 30 years ago. And we can't work with them, and we're still up here trying to come together as a unity, trying to make a difference, but we can't do that because we're still, we still have that mentality that I'm not about to work with this person because I don't like them because of this or that. And a lot of times we have to just put aside that, deal with that later, because it seems like every single day is getting worse and worse and worse. And so I agree with you 100% on that. Do you feel like that racism is still in existence today, or has it gone?
No, I believe it's definitely prevalent in today's society, and it's not just whites against African Americans. There's whites against Asians and Mexicans, and I mean it's just across the whole gamut. It's definitely still prevalent. It's definitely still prominent, and it definitely still needs to be addressed.
I agree. I think that's one of the things that, us as a country need to pray for is that, we as a body in this country just really unite, not just blacks, not just whites, not just Caucasians, not just Indians, not just Africans, not just Chinese, but everybody. And that's I feel where you're coming from that. That's my outlook on that as well. So I appreciate you, man. Now, do you have any new music that you're working on? Tell us about that.
I actually am. I'm working on a brand new record. We're still in the concept phase of it. It's going to be, it's a two-part, not really a two-part album, but I'm going to do an EP first, put that out for free, and then I'm going to put my album out. I don't have any dates, so I don't want to get people all hyped up. But it's some really good music. My first album, So Crazy No Boundaries, was what God gave me for that time. Back in 2012, when He laid on my heart to do the recording, and I released it in 2014. I worked, for those. I worked strong for those couple of years to create a project that was near and dear to me. And at the time, that was the sound that God gave me. It was the urban, reaching the youth. That's what God gave me at that time. And since then, He's developed and grown me more in a praise and worship direction. So that's what this record and the EP is going to be, or have a base of. It's definitely going to be more praise and worship sounding with a little herb swing. I can't fall too far away from the urban feel. I love it so much. But it's going to be exciting. I'm really excited to work with some new writers that I didn't get a chance to work with on my first project, some new producers. So I'm super excited about, the upcoming project. I actually have a title for it. I don't know if I want to say yet, but it's called Worldwide Worship. So I'm super, super excited about it.
Okay, awesome. And we would definitely be looking out for that. I know your ministry is going to go even further than what it is now. I appreciate your ministry. I appreciate you as an artist. And do you have anything for anybody that may be facing any kind of situation or that's even trying to get into the music industry? What encouraging words can you give to them?
Well, for those that are trying to break into the industry, whether it be background or forefront, just be true to your call. Make sure you're called to this. This isn't, you're not in this to be famous. You're in it to be faithful. And that's what a lot of people, they see the social media posts and they see that we're on and off of planes and in and out of hotels, and they're like, they want that life. But if God didn't call you to it, then you got to find what God called you to. Maybe He called you to write a book, and He might be taking you further than He's taking some of us artists. You know what I mean?
Right.
And a lot of times we just overlook that. I want people to be faithful to their call. It's so easy to want to be famous, but who wants to be faithful?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the hard part. That's where the groundwork comes in. And then when you really think about it, to all the praise and worship leaders that are out there, I always say when I speak at different conferences or churches, I say somebody has to be committed to the local assembly.
Right.
We all can't go to the nations. Everybody ain't been called to the nations and to the world.
That's right.
And I think I impart that into a lot of young praise and worship leaders, because they become praise and worship leaders and then they're like, I got to put a single out. I got to put a record out. No, you don't. All you got to do is be faithful and serve at your local assembly, because that's what God called you to.
That's right.
So it's all about identifying our calling. You can be great at something and it not be your calling. I I was a teacher for 5 years. I was great at it, but that's not what God called me to do. He called me to ministry.
Right. Wow. And I appreciate that. And that right there sticks out because a lot of times we get caught up in trying to do something that's hot in that second, but we don't really succeed in it because that's not what God has planned for us. And so
Exactly.
I always have this motto where I'm just like, listen, whatever it is that God has for you is for you, and you better go with what God has for you because that's what you're going to be successful
Right.
in. And so I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Where can they go and follow you on all of your social media sites?
They can follow me on Twitter. I'm actually probably like one of the few artists that are still very active on Twitter. I love Twitter. But I definitely on Twitter, it's at James Murphy. On Facebook, it's I am James Murphy. On Snapchat, it's I am James Murphy. On did I already say Facebook? I already said Facebook. On Instagram, it's I am James Murphy. So only Twitter has just James Murphy. Everything else is I am James Murphy.
And where can they go get your music?
My music is on iTunes, it's on Amazon, it's on Google Play, it's on Tidal. I'm there. I love the support. Listen, if you stream my album, I'm thankful. I'm not all about you gotta go buy. But I'd appreciate it if you buy.
And I know you are thankful. I know that firsthand. So I appreciate your ministry. I appreciate your support. I appreciate everything you're doing in the community and the body of Christ. And you keep doing your thing because you are going to be extremely and even more successful than what you are now. So I appreciate you, James Murphy. Everybody, that's
I
our
appreciate
time.
you.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in. But we